A girl said I'd rather die, and the wrong man heard her. Dante leaned across the desk and whispered, "Then we'll see how brave you are at the altar, Mia Tigray. I don't lose. I'm Aurora Bellanti." I was 22, painting watercolors in my father's library, the day my name was sold to settle his debts. In 2 minutes, the heir of the Marchetti family would walk into that room. In 2 hours, I would say the 7 words that changed both our lives. The thing I was hiding, a sketchbook full of his face, drawn from a magazine 3 years before I knew I was promised to him, would either save me or finish me. I should have looked away when he stepped through the door. I didn't. That was my first mistake, and his. Chapter 1, the library. The first thing I noticed about Dante Marchetti was that the room got quieter when he walked in. Not louder, quieter, as if the air itself decided to behave. My father stood. My Uncle Sal stood. The 2 soldiers by the window stood. I was the only one still seated, my watercolor brush halfway to a half-finished pear, and I did not stand because no one had told me what was happening yet. "Aurora," my father's voice was thinner than I'd ever heard it. "Put the brush down." I put the brush down. Dante was tall, dark-haired, dressed in a charcoal suit that fit him the way a holster fits a gun. His eyes found me first. Not my father, not Sal, me. He looked at me the way a man looks at a contract before he signs it. "This is her?" he asked. "This is her," my father said. "Then we can begin." A leather folder slid onto the desk. Inside it, papers. Inside the papers, my life. I read the first line, marriage agreement between the houses of Marchetti and Bellanti. I read the second line, bride, Aurora Maria Bellanti. I read the third line and stopped reading. He set a pen beside the folder, silver, heavy. The kind of pen a man carries when he expects people to sign things. "Sign, Miss Bellanti." I looked up. I think I was supposed to look down. Every man in the room except him was looking down. Even Sal, who had threatened a senator at a Christmas party, was studying the carpet. But I was 22 and angry and afraid, and when you are all 3 at once, you forget what you are supposed to do. I looked at Dante Marchetti and I held it. Something in his face, a single muscle along his jaw, moved. "Papa!" My voice did not crack. I was proud of that later. "What is this? Your future, Cara. You are giving me to him. I am settling a debt. With me. With the family." The pen stayed where it was. Dante had not moved. He was watching me the way you watch a candle you are trying to decide whether to blow out. I stood, slowly. My knees felt like wet paper. "Mr. Marchetti," I said his name like it was a glass I might break. "I would rather die than be your wife." The room did a thing rooms do when a sentence lands wrong. It held its breath. My father's face went gray. Sal's hand twitched toward the inside of his coat. Tommy Greco, the only Marchetti man I would later learn to love like a brother, made a small sound in his throat that might have been "oh no." Dante did not move. He looked at me for what felt like a year. Then slowly he reached out and took the pen back, slid it into the inner pocket of his jacket, buttoned the jacket. "You heard the lady," he said quietly. "She would rather die." He turned to my father. "I'll send the car at 6, pack 1 bag. She brings what she wants to live with for a long time. Mr. Marchetti at 6. He looked at me one more time. His eyes had changed. They had not gotten warmer. They had gotten interested. "Mia Tigray," he said, soft, almost to himself, the way a man names something he has just decided to keep. "We'll see." He left. The door closed behind him with the smallest possible sound, and I understood then that the loud doors are not the dangerous ones. The dangerous ones close like that, like nothing. My father sat down. He did not look at me. "Aurora," he whispered, "what have you done?" I did not answer. I was looking at the desk where the silver pen had been a moment ago and was no longer. Outside, somewhere in the garden, a fountain kept running. The car came at 6. I wore the wrong dress. I had picked it on purpose, gray, shapeless, a thing my mother would have hated. If he wanted a wife, he would have to take a woman who did not look like one. The driver did not comment. The driver did not look at me at all. The Marchetti house was 40 minutes north of the city, on the water. Iron gates. A gravel drive that curved through trees old enough to remember the men who built the family. I counted 6 soldiers before I stopped counting. I do not think I was supposed to see them. I think they wanted me to. A man was waiting on the front steps. Round-faced, soft-eyed, holding a clipboard like it was a baby. "Miss Bellanti," he bowed slightly. Tommaso Greco, Tommy, I'm a lot of things, but tonight I'm your welcome committee. The boss apologizes for not greeting you personally. He had to go strangle Switzerland or something. Please come in. I stared at him. Strangle Switzerland. It's an expression or it isn't. With him it's hard to tell. Are you hungry? I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. I'm on a diet technically, but technically the diet started Monday and today is also Monday in the deeper philosophical sense, so, he paused. I'm making it weird. Come in spite of everything my mouth almost moved. He walked me through the house, white marble, black wood, a staircase that curved like a question. He gave me 10 rules in a voice he was clearly trying to make light. 1. The east wing is yours. 2. The west wing is his. 3. There's a library in between because the boss has a sense of humor, and I will not elaborate. 4. Lucia is the housekeeper, and she will pretend not to like you for exactly 4 days. 5. Lucia, hi, this is Aurora. I'm telling her about the 4-day thing. A woman crossed the hall, dark hair pinned back, carrying a tray of lemons. She did not stop walking. Tommaso, she said. Stop talking. 1 day, Lucia, he sighed at her back. 1 day, she did not turn around. He watched her go like a man watches the last train leave. Right, he cleared his throat. 6. Don't go to the basement. 7. Don't ask why. 8. Dinner is at 8. 9. He sets a place for you whether you come down or not. 10. He hesitated. 10. If he calls you something Italian and you don't know what it means, ask me before you decide to be insulted. He's better at naming things than he is at meaning them. Tommy. It was the first time I'd said his name. He blinked. What did he call me? He didn't tell me. What did you hear? A pause. Mia Tigre, he said carefully. It means my tigress. In his mouth, that is, it's not affection, not yet. It's how he labels a thing he hasn't decided what to do with. Lovely? Yeah, Tommy scratched the back of his neck. Listen, Miss Bellanti, between us, nobody says no to him, not like that. Not in front of his men, so whatever happens next, I just want to say, he stopped. I just want to say I'm rooting for you, quietly, cowardly, from a great distance. I almost laughed. I went up to the east wing. I closed the door. I sat on a bed too large for one person, and I cried for 10 minutes, and then I did not cry again. At 8, I went down. He was already at the table. One end of it, a second place set at the other end, too far away to speak across, close enough to see. He stood when I entered. He did not smile. He gestured to the chair. Sit, Miss Bellanti. I sat. The food came. Lucia ladled, served, vanished. I did not eat. I watched him not eat. He was turning something between his fingers, slow, absent, the silver pen. He saw me see it. You'll get it back, he said, when you sign. I won't sign. I know. He did not look angry. He looked the way men look at a chess problem they intend to enjoy. Aurora, first time he had used my name. You said you would rather die. I want you to understand something. In this house you will not die, not from me, not from anyone. That is the only promise I will make you tonight. He set the pen down beside his plate. The metal made a small, definite sound against the wood. Eat, he said, or don't. But you'll find I am very patient. I did not eat. He did not look away. I did not sleep. The east wing had a window that looked over the water, and I sat at it with my knees pulled up and watched the moon move across a part of the bay I did not know the name of. Somewhere in the house, a clock counted hours I was not living. In the morning, Lucia brought coffee without speaking. She set it down. She paused. She said in a voice so low I almost missed it, "You look like someone who needs a friend, miss. I am not it." But I'm sorry. Then she was gone. I unpacked the bag. I had not packed clothes. I had packed 3 things: my mother's rosary, a tin of watercolors, and a sketchbook I should have left at home. I had bought it 3 years ago, a week after I saw a photograph in the Sunday paper. Heir to Marchetti Empire attends charity gala. Black and white. He had been 26 then. He had been looking past the camera at something the photographer could not see. I had thought, that is a man who is alone in a crowded room, and I had drawn him from memory in the back of an art class while my professor talked about composition. I had drawn him again the week after, and the month after. By the end of the year, I had filled 20 pages with a stranger's face. I had not known his name. My father had not yet sold me. The drawings were the kind of stupid private thing a girl does when she is 22 and lonely and her life is small. I had brought the sketchbook because I had not been able to leave it. If anyone found it in this house with him in it 20 times, I did not know what would happen. I hid it under the mattress. A foolish hiding place, something a child would choose. I am telling you the truth. I was a child that morning. I had not yet learned what this house would teach me. There was a knock. Tommy. Miss Bellanti, the boss requires you in his study at 11. Don't panic. He requires everyone in his study at 11 on Tuesdays. It's like a Tuesday thing. He's very Tuesday. It's Wednesday, Tommy. Is it? He looked stricken. Madonna mia, he left. I stared at the ceiling. At 11 I went down. His study was warm, leather, and old paper, and something underneath that I would later learn was him. The cologne he wore over the cold smell a man carries when he has been outside in winter at 4 in the morning. He was at the desk. The pen was on the desk. He was reading something in Italian. He did not look up when I came in. Sit. I sat. He turned a page, turned another, then looked at me. Tell me what you do, Aurora. What I do. With your hours. The truth came before I could stop it. I paint, I draw. Something in his face moved, a fractional thing. Show me. No. The word was out before I considered it. He went very still. Then slowly he smiled, a small smile with no warmth in it, the smile of a man hearing his second favorite word in 2 days. Show me what is downstairs, then. The watercolor I interrupted. I had brought the pear painting because Tommy had told me to bring something to do with my hands. I had not expected to use it as currency. I slid it across the desk. He looked at it for a long time. You see things, he said finally. It's a pear. It's a pear that is afraid of being eaten. He set it down. You are talented, Miss Bellanti. I would not have known. You don't know me. No, he met my eyes, he held them. But I am going to. The door opened. Enzo Russo, his second, tall, scarred along the jaw, the kind of man who looks at women like they are whether he has already prepared for. He spoke fast in Italian. The words Bellanti and Sal and movement came through. Dante's face did not change. He stood. Stay in the house, Aurora. What's happening? Nothing yet, he left. Enzo paused in the doorway and looked at me, not unkindly, not kindly either. Miss, his voice was low. Whatever your Uncle Sal told your father about this marriage, it was not the truth. Be careful what you believe in this house, but be more careful what you believed in the last one. He closed the door. I sat in his chair, alone, with the silver pen between my fingers, and I understood for the first time that I had been sold for reasons I did not yet know. And that someone in my own family had sold me knowing them. 3 days passed, then 4, then a week. I learned the house the way you learn a language by living in it. The kitchen at dawn smelled like bread and lemons. Lucia made everything with lemons, and the scent threaded through the halls until it became, in my mind, the smell of the Marchetti house itself. Tommy ate 4 cornetti every morning and lied about it to a diet app on his phone. Enzo did not speak unless spoken to. Matteo Caruso, the youngest soldier, blushed when I said good morning and brought me a stray cat he had found by the boathouse. Dante I saw at dinner, only at dinner. He sat at the far end of the table and turned the silver pen between his fingers, and we did not speak. On the 8th night I could not sleep, and I went down into the garden. The garden ran to the water, stone benches, a fountain that had been there since the house was built. I sat on the bench in my nightgown and a coat I had stolen from a hook in the hall, and I watched the moon do the thing moons do, and I did not hear him come. You shouldn't be out here, Aurora. I did not jump. I had stopped jumping at sounds in this house on day 3. I had decided I would either die here or get used to it, and I was getting used to it. He sat not next to me, the other end of the bench, far enough. I couldn't sleep. I noticed. You watch me. I watch the house. The moon moved a little. He turned the pen. The fountain talked to itself. Aurora. His voice was different at night, lower, less careful. I want to tell you something I do not say. I waited. My mother was promised to my father at 16. She did not want him. She did not say so. She married him. She lived 23 years in this house, and she taught me Italian, and she taught me how to lie, and she died in a room upstairs with my hand in hers. And the last thing she said to me was, don't. A pause. Don't what? I said. She didn't finish. I have spent my whole life finishing it different ways. Don't be him. Don't do this to a woman. Don't make her stay. He was not looking at me. He was looking at the water. You said you would rather die. I have spent 8 days making sure you understand that you will not have to. Whatever happens between us, Aurora, I will not be the thing my father was. I do not know what I would have said. I will never know. Because he turned his head then and looked at me, and I did not look away, and his hand was on the bench between us, and mine moved. I did not mean it to. It moved. His hand did not move. It stayed where it was. His fingers did not close around mine. His thumb did not stroke my wrist. He just let me touch the back of his hand, and let me feel that he was warm, and let me feel that he was breathing slightly faster than he had been a moment ago. And let me take my hand back when I remembered who I was. I stood up too fast. "Aurora, I'm cold, I'm going inside." Aurora, just my name, stopping me without stopping me. "Whatever you came to this house with, clothes, books, things you brought because they mattered, they are yours. No one will look, not me, not Lucia, not anyone. This is your house too now. I want you to understand that." He knew. I do not know how. Maybe Lucia had seen. Maybe he had simply guessed that a woman who packed a sketchbook and watercolors had packed something she did not want him to see. I said, "Good night, Mr. Marchetti." "Dante," he said. "Try it once. Good night." I walked back to the house and I did not turn around, and I felt his eyes on my back the whole way. And somewhere in the upper window, Tommy was eating something he was not supposed to be eating and pretending not to watch us through the curtain. I closed my door. I pulled the sketchbook from under the mattress. I opened it to a blank page near the end. I drew his hand, the way it had stayed where it was, the way it had not moved. The way a man's stillness can be the loudest thing he has ever said to you. I did not cry. I do not know why I am telling you that I did not cry. I was not crying. I was just sitting there drawing while the house around me kept its 100 small, dangerous secrets. The mistake was mine. I left the sketchbook out. One morning, 10 days in. I had been drawing in the window seat at dawn, and I heard footsteps, and I slid it under a cushion, and I went down to breakfast, and when I came back up, the cushion was on the floor. And the sketchbook was on the bed, and Lucia was standing beside it with her hand over her mouth. "Miss Bellanti," her voice shook. "I came to change the linens. I only saw the cover. I did not open it." "Lucia, I swear it on my mother." I believed her. I did. But the cover had a face on it. I had drawn him on the cover badly 3 years ago, and Lucia had eyes, and Lucia worked for him. "Lucia, please. I will not say a word." Her hand shook. "Miss, I have been in this house since he was 14 years old. I know what he is. I also know what he could be. If he sees those drawings, miss, listen to me, he will not be angry. That is not the danger. Then what is? He will think you are his." She left. I sat on the bed with the sketchbook in my lap, and I understood that I had been carrying a bomb for 3 years and only now noticed it was ticking. I hid it again. Better this time. Inside the back panel of an old radio in the closet, the kind no one would think to look in. Then I went down to lunch, because if I did not go down, something would be wrong, and I was not yet ready to be wrong in front of him. He was not at lunch. Tommy was. Tommy was eating a salad with the expression of a man at a funeral. "He's gone to the city," Tommy said. "Bellanti business, your business." "Don't ask, I won't tell you. I would tell you, please don't ask." "Tommy, is my father all right?" "Your father is fine. Your uncle is being your uncle. The boss is having a conversation with him about it." "What kind of conversation?" "The kind where Sal does most of the talking and the boss does most of the listening, and at the end, Sal understands. Something he didn't understand before. Tommy, I'm eating a salad." "Miss Bellanti." "I'm in no condition to speak truthfully." He left a piece of bread on his plate, looked at it, looked at me, looked at it again, and ate it. "One day, Lucia," he muttered to no one. One day, that afternoon, the sirens, 2 black cars came up the drive too fast. Enzo was out the door before they stopped. I went to the upstairs window because that is what women in this house do when men come back fast. We go to the window and we count. 3 men got out of the first car. Dante got out of the second. He was holding his left arm. The sleeve was dark. I went down the stairs. I did not run. I walked. I walked into the front hall as Enzo was helping him sit, and a doctor I had not known lived in the house was opening a black bag on the side table. "Out, Aurora. I want to, out." I stayed. He looked at me. The doctor cut his sleeve. The wound was a graze along the bicep, long, ugly, not deep. He did not flinch when the doctor poured something on it. He did not look at the wound. He looked at me. "Your uncle sent men," he said, calm, as if reporting weather. "They were not very good men. They wanted to take you back." "Take me back?" Sal told your father he was selling you to me. He was not. He was using you to get into my house. He was paid by someone else for the favor. We will discuss who later. I sat down on the bottom step because my knees decided. He used me. Yes, my father did not know. You know that? I know your father, Aurora. He is many things. He is not that, the doctor stitched. Dante did not look at the needle. Tommy appeared in the doorway with 3 espressos and the face of a man who had been crying in a pantry. Boss, miss. Caffeine, Dante took one. I took one. Tommy stood between us holding the third like a referee. That night I did not go to my room. I sat in the chair across from his bed in the West Wing. He did not ask me to leave. I did not ask if I could stay. The doctor came and went. Lucia came and went. Tommy brought soup and stood in the doorway and did not say a single funny thing, which was how I knew it was bad. Around 3 in the morning, his eyes opened. Aurora, I'm here. Why? I don't know. He looked at me a long time. That's the truest thing anyone has said to me in this house in 10 years. He closed his eyes. He slept. I did not. He healed quickly. Men like him do. By the 3rd day, he was at his desk again. By the 5th, he was meeting with Enzo and Matteo behind closed doors. By the 7th, the house had changed, more men in the halls, more cars in the drive, the weight of something coming. I did not ask. He did not tell me, but he started in small ways to show me. He left the door of his study open when he made calls. He let me sit in the corner with my watercolors while he turned the silver pen between his fingers and listened to men in 3 languages tell him things he already knew. He did not explain. He did not translate, he just let me be there. On the 9th day, he came up to the East Wing for the first time. He knocked. He had never knocked before. He had never been at my door before. I opened it. He was holding a flat wooden box. For you, I took it. Inside, paints, real ones, oil, not watercolor, the kind you do not buy unless you intend to take painting seriously. There were brushes wrapped in tissue paper. There was a small canvas. There was at the bottom a note in his handwriting, 3 words, when you're ready. Dante, his name, first time. It came out before I noticed. He noticed. The look on his face was not triumph, it was something quieter. He stepped back into the hall. Aurora, come walk with me. I did. The hallway between the East Wing and the West Wing was long, lined with paintings of Marchetti dead, lit by sconces that buzzed faintly the way old wiring does. We walked slowly. He did not put his hand on the small of my back. He did not take my arm. He walked half a step behind me, the way a man walks who is not leading and not following, and I felt every inch of the air between us. There's something I want to tell you, he said. Before the next thing happens. What's the next thing? I don't know yet, but it's coming, and if I don't say this before it does, I won't say it after. He stopped. I stopped. The first day. In your father's library, every person in that room looked down except you. I have walked into rooms my entire life, Aurora. Men older than me looked down. Men with more soldiers than me looked down. The woman my father chose for me when I was 17 looked down before I sat. Nobody. His voice did not break. It just got quieter. Nobody looks at me, Mia Gray. And you didn't stop. He was not looking at me now. He was looking at a painting of his great-grandfather. I have spent 10 days, he said, trying to decide if you did it because you were brave or because you didn't know better or because of something else. I have decided it was something else. I don't have the word for it. I'm not going to invent one. A pause. That's all I wanted to tell you. The hallway was very quiet. The sconces buzzed. I could have said many things. I have spent the last year thinking about the things I could have said. What I said was, I drew you. He turned his head. What? 3 years ago, before my father, before any of this. I saw a photograph and I drew you. I drew you 20 times. I have a sketchbook hidden in the radio in my closet because I was afraid you would see it and think I came to you wanting this. His face did the smallest thing it had ever done. Something around the eyes, something a camera could not have caught. Aurora, I'm not telling you so you'll think I love you. I don't know what I am. I'm telling you because I am tired of carrying it. Aurora, he stepped closer, not all the way, half a step. His hand came up slowly, the way you reach toward an animal that has not decided about you yet, and the back of his fingers brushed the side of my face. Once, he could have kissed me. The hallway knew it, the dead in the paintings knew it, I knew it. He did not, he let his hand fall. Not like this, he said quietly. Not while you're frightened of what you just told me. Not while there are men outside my gate who want to take you. When I kiss you, Mia Tigray, you are going to know it was not because the moment was easy. He stepped back. Good night, Aurora. Dante, good night. He walked back down the hall. I stood there with the box of paints in my hands and the silver pen. He had set it on top of the box when I had not been looking, gleaming in the lamplight. Outside, somewhere far away, a car door closed. War was coming. It had already started. It started with Matteo. He was the one who brought me coffee on the days Lucia had off, who blushed when I asked his last name, who had named the stray cat General, because the cat had only 3 legs and all the dignity in the world. He was 23. He had a sister in Naples he sent money to. He had told me once that he wanted to open a bookshop when he was old, which in his world meant 35. The attack came at dusk. 3 cars on the back road. They came through the boathouse instead of the front because the front had Enzo and the back had Matteo, and Sal had calculated which side was thinner. Sal had calculated wrong about a lot of things. He had calculated correctly about that. I was in the kitchen when the shooting started. Lucia pulled me down behind the counter. Tommy came through the door at a run with a gun I had not known he carried, and his face was not the face I knew. It was tight and grim and 20 years older. Stay down, don't move. I love you, Lucia, this is not the time, I know, I'm going. He went. The shooting lasted 4 minutes. I counted. 4 minutes is a long time to count when each second has a gunshot in it. Then it stopped. Then I heard Dante's voice in the hall, low, fast, in Italian, and Enzo's answering, and a sound that I would later understand was a man being dragged. Matteo had been at the boathouse. They brought him in through the kitchen because the kitchen was closest. They put him on the long table where Lucia rolled pasta. He was conscious. His shirt was red. He looked at me and he tried to smile, and the smile did not arrive. Miss, his voice was thin. General, feed him, he likes the thing. Matteo, the little fish. From the can, the doctor came. The doctor worked. Lucia held Matteo's hand. Tommy stood in the doorway and his face was wet and he did not seem to notice. Dante stood at the foot of the table. He did not move, he did not speak. He watched the doctor's hands the way a man watches a road for ice. The doctor stopped. I'm sorry, boss. Dante did not say anything for a long time. Then he leaned down and he kissed Matteo's forehead, quickly, almost roughly, the way an older brother kisses a younger one, and he straightened and he walked out of the kitchen. I followed him. I do not know why. I followed him through the hall and into his study, and he was at the window with his hands on the sill, and his shoulders were doing the thing shoulders do when a man is not letting himself. Dante, go, Aurora, Dante, go. I went to my room. I sat on the floor. I did not cry. I felt the weight of the sketchbook and the radio in the closet, and I felt the weight of Matteo's voice saying the little fish from the can. And I felt for the first time a thing I had not let myself feel since the library. I could leave. There was a phone in the hall. I could call my father. I could call a friend. I could walk down the drive. The gate was open tonight because cars had come through it, and I could find a road, and I could find a bus, and I could go. He would not stop me, not after tonight. Not after Matteo. He would let me go because Matteo had died for me, and he did not want a second person to die for me, and he was the kind of man who would open the gate himself if I asked. I sat on the floor for a long time. I thought about the woman I had been in my father's library. She was 22. She painted pears. She had drawn a stranger's face 20 times because she was lonely. She had not yet seen a man die on a kitchen table. She had not yet watched another man hold himself together at a window because his soldier, his boy, had died on his floor. That woman could have left. I was not that woman anymore. I stood up. I went down to the kitchen. Lucia was washing the table. The water was pink. She did not stop when she saw me. She handed me a cloth. I cleaned the table with her. We did not speak. When we were done, I went to the boathouse and I found General, and I fed him the little fish from the can, and I sat with him on the floor until the sun came up. In the morning, I went to Dante's study. He was at the desk. He had not slept. The silver pen was in his hand. I'm staying, I said. He looked at me. I know, he said. I'm staying because I want to, not because I have to. I know. Don't make me say it twice. I won't. I left. The gate was still open. I did not look back at it. They took me on a Thursday. It was stupid. It should not have happened. Tommy had taken me into the city to buy more canvas. Dante had said no. Tommy had said, boss, she's been inside this house for 3 weeks. She's going to start chewing the walls, and Dante, who never lost an argument, had lost that one because he could not say no to a thing that was for me. 2 cars boxed us in on Mulberry Street. Tommy fired 3 shots. Tommy got hit in the shoulder. Tommy yelled my name as someone put a hand over my mouth and the inside of my eyes went dark. I woke in a cellar, stone walls, a bare bulb, cold floor. My wrists tied with the kind of plastic that cuts when you struggle, so I did not struggle. I had learned that much. A man was sitting across from me on a folding chair. He looked like Dante. For 1 second, my heart did an awful, hopeful thing. Then he smiled, and the smile was wrong, and I understood. Aurora Bellanti. He said my name the way you say the punchline of a joke you have been waiting to tell. I'm Vincenzo, Dante's brother. He never mentions me. There are reasons. I did not speak. I'll be quick. My brother was supposed to be me. The title was supposed to be mine. Our father chose him because our father was sentimental and our father is dead, and now I am correcting the error. Your Uncle Sal is helping me. You are the leverage. When my brother comes for you, and he will, he is sentimental too. I will end the conversation our father started. And I will run this family the way it was always meant to be run. He leaned forward. I'm not going to hurt you, Aurora. I want you to be clear on that. I am going to keep you here, and I am going to send him a video, and when he comes through that door, I am going to put him in the ground. You will be fine. You will go home to your father. You can paint your little pears. He stood, he took out a phone, he pointed it at me. Say something for him? I said nothing. Aurora, a word, anything. He needs to hear your voice. I looked at the camera. I thought about the silver pen on the desk. I thought about Matteo saying the little fish. I thought about the hallway and the hand on my face that had not stayed. Dante! My voice did not shake. I was proud of that later. Don't come! Vincenzo's face did a small, ugly thing. Cut, he said. We'll do it again. He came across the room and he raised his hand. He did not get to bring it down. The door at the top of the cellar stairs blew off its hinges. What happened in the next 90 seconds I will not tell you in detail. I have promised myself I will not. I will tell you this. Dante came down those stairs the way weather comes. Enzo was behind him. There were 3 of Vincenzo's men in the cellar, and there were 3 of them on the floor very quickly. And Vincenzo had a knife at my throat before Dante reached the bottom step, and Dante stopped. Vincenzo was breathing hard. Dante was not breathing at all. Brother, Vincenzo said, put it down, put it all down, you and me, walk out, I take the title, she lives, you live. Everybody lives. The knife was cold against my neck. It was very sharp. I could feel my pulse in it. I looked at Dante. I did the thing I had done in the library. I held his eyes. I did not look away. And I did the new thing, the thing I had learned in this house, the thing he had taught me without knowing he was teaching it. I let my face go still. I let him see that I was not going to scream. I was not going to flinch. Whatever he needed to do, I was going to be exactly where he needed me to be. He saw it. Something in his face, a single muscle along his jaw, moved. Mia Tigre, he said very softly, to me, only to me. Down, I dropped, not a flinch, not a struggle. I let my legs go and I dropped, and the knife went over me instead of through me, and Dante's gun was already up, and Vincenzo was on the floor before I was. It was not clean. None of it was clean. When it was over, Dante was on his knees beside me, and his hands were on my face, and they were shaking, and I had never seen his hands shake. Aurora, Aurora, look at me. Are you Mia Tigre? Are you? I'm here. Say it again. I'm here. He pressed his forehead to mine. He did not kiss me. He did not say he loved me. He did not say you're mine. He just held his forehead against mine, and he breathed, and his hands shook, and somewhere upstairs Tommy was yelling that he was fine. He was fine. He had been shot before. Somebody bring him a sandwich. I started laughing. I do not know why. Dante started laughing too. We laughed in a cellar with 3 dead men in it, and that is the truest thing I will ever tell you about love. Sal was still alive. That was the thing that hung over the drive home. Vincenzo had been the knife. Sal had been the hand on the knife. Sal was somewhere in the city tonight, with men, with money, with the second half of a plan we had only seen the first half of. The car was warm. Enzo drove. Dante sat in the back with me. He had not let go of my hand since the cellar. His hand was no longer shaking. It had stopped shaking the moment we got into the car, the way a thing stops shaking when it has decided what to do next. Aurora, yes, I need to tell you something and I need you to hear it. Not answer it, hear it. Okay, I love you. He said it the way he said everything, quiet, even no decoration, like a man telling you the time. I have loved you, he said, since the hallway. Maybe since the library, I don't know when it started, I know when it finished starting. It finished starting when you said don't come. I did not answer. He had told me not to answer. I held his hand and I looked at the side of his face, and I let the words sit in the car between us like a thing that had been put down very carefully. There's one more night, he said. Tonight. Sal will move tonight or he will lose his last men by morning. I am going to go to him. I am going to finish it. And then I am going to come home. Dante, I told you not to answer. I'm not answering, I'm asking, will you come home? A long pause. I'm going to try very hard, Mia Tigray. We pulled through the gate. The drive was lit. Tommy was on the front steps, arm in a sling, espresso in the other hand, alive. Lucia was beside him. She had been crying, she was not crying now. Dante got out. He helped me out. He did not let go of my hand. He walked me up the steps. Tommy started to say something funny and stopped, because Tommy had learned, finally, when not to be funny. Lucia took my other hand. Dante released the first one slowly, finger by finger, and I felt every finger leave. Stay in the house, he said. I know. If I am not back by dawn, you'll be back by dawn. He almost smiled. He went. The night was the longest of my life. I did not sleep. I sat in the kitchen with Lucia and Tommy and General, the three-legged cat, and Lucia made coffee the way Italian women make coffee when they are afraid, over and over, refilling cups that had not been emptied. Tommy talked, he talked the whole night. He talked about his diet, he talked about Lucia's hands. He talked, eventually, about Lucia herself, while Lucia sat right there listening, because the night had stripped him of every defense he had built around the thing he felt for her. One day, he said, looking at her. One day, Lucia, Tommaso, I know, I'm just saying, one day. She put her hand on his hand on the table. Maybe 2 days, Tommaso, she said quietly. Maybe 2 days from now. He went very, very still. He looked at her like a man looking at a country he did not know existed. I started crying at the table for no reason I could name, and Lucia handed me a napkin without looking at me, and the three of us sat there at 4 in the morning, waiting. At 5, I went to the window. At 5:30, I went to the door. At 5:52, I saw headlights. The car came up the drive, slow. Enzo got out first. He was limping. He nodded at me. He's here, he's alive, he's here. And then Dante got out of the passenger side, and he was holding his side, and his shirt was dark, and he was upright, and he was walking. And he was home. I did not run. I did not do the thing the heroines do in films. I walked. I walked down the steps and across the gravel, and I put my hands on his face, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we did not speak for a long time. Sal, I said finally. Done, I'll live. You'd better. He almost laughed. It hurt him. He stopped. I kissed him, not in the way I had imagined I would, in the bed in the East Wing with candles and a confession. I kissed him on the front drive at 5:53 in the morning with his blood on my hands, and the gravel under my feet, and Tommy and Lucia, and Enzo pretending very hard to be looking somewhere else. He kissed me back like a man who had been promising himself he would for a long time. When I pulled back, his forehead came to mine again. Mia Tigray, he whispered, not a label, not a leash, a name. Inside, I said, Doctor, now. Yes, ma'am. Tommy started to cry. Lucia started to cry. Enzo, I am told, did not cry, but Enzo turned his back so we could not be sure. General rubbed against my ankle. We went inside. The doctor stayed 3 days. The bullet had not hit anything important, which is a sentence Dante said in a voice I did not like, because it implied a working knowledge of which parts of him were important. Lucia fed him soup. Tommy read him the newspaper. I sat in the chair beside the bed and I painted small things on the new canvas he had given me, nothing serious, just colors moving where I asked them to move. On the second day, Dante slept for 9 hours straight. I had never seen him sleep 9 hours. I had not been sure he was capable of it. Lucia stood in the doorway with me and watched him for a while and said very quietly, He has not slept like that since he was 14, miss. Then she went away to make more soup. On the third day, he was at the desk again. Not for long, 2 hours. He wrote letters. He turned the silver pen. Enzo came in and out. Decisions were made in low voices. The Marchetti family settled, the way old families do, by phone calls, by quiet meetings, by men in good coats nodding to each other in restaurants. Sal was buried by his own widow. Vincenzo was not buried. There are things about that world I have decided I will never write down. On the fourth night, Dante came up to the east wing again. He did not knock this time. He did not have to. Aurora, Dante, walk with me. We walked, down the long hallway with the dead Marchettis, past the sconces that still buzzed into the garden. The fountain still ran. The bench was still there. The moon was a different moon, fuller, lower, and the night smelled of lemons because Lucia had been making something in the kitchen that I would never learn the name of. He sat on the bench. I sat beside him, not at the other end, beside him. He took something out of his pocket. It was the silver pen. "This is yours now," he said. "I should have given it to you in the library. I did not because I did not know yet what I was doing. I know now." He set it in my hand. He folded my fingers around it. "I am not asking you to sign anything, Mia Tigray. I am asking you to keep it. If you decide one day that you want to use it on something, a contract, a name change, a letter to your father, a marriage, that will be your decision. Not your father's, not mine. Not the family's, yours." I looked at the pen. I looked at him. "Dante, yes, I would rather not die." He laughed. It surprised him. It surprised me. "That is not a yes, Aurora. I know. Take your time." "I will." He kissed me on the temple. He stood. He held out his hand. I took it. We walked back to the house. In the kitchen, Tommy was teaching Lucia to dance. Badly. To a song on a radio that was older than both of them. General was sitting on the counter, judging. Enzo was at the table with a glass of wine and the newspaper. And when we came in, he raised the glass without looking up and said, "Boss." "Miss Enzo, Tommaso is asking Lucia to marry him." "I am not," Tommy yelped. "I am dancing with her. There is a difference, Enzo, Madonna. You are a menace." "He is asking," Lucia said calmly. Hand on Tommy's shoulder. "He is just doing it slowly." "One day," Tommy said weakly. Lucia kissed his cheek. He sat down on the floor. I started laughing. Dante was looking at me. He was not laughing. He was watching me laugh, the way a man watches the first sunrise after a long winter, like a thing he had not been sure he would live to see. "It's over," I said. "It's over. Say it again. It's over, Mia Tigray." I held the silver pen in my hand, and I held his hand in my other hand, and Tommy was on the floor with Lucia laughing above him, and Enzo was reading the paper and pretending none of us were here. And General was washing his face on the counter, and the kitchen smelled of lemons. It was over. Word count 766. It is over. I will write that line one more time in case anyone is still listening for it. It is over. 6 weeks passed. I painted. He worked. We met at dinner. We met in the garden. We met sometimes in the hallway between the east wing and the west wing, and we stood in front of the painting of his great-grandfather, and we did not need to speak. The house changed. Tommy moved into the cottage by the boathouse, which Lucia agreed to share with him on the condition that he never again attempted to cook eggs. Enzo took over Vincenzo's old office and put nothing on the walls, which is how Enzo decorates. Matteo's name was carved into a stone beside the fountain. I went out there sometimes and told him what General had eaten that day. General, for his part, slept in my studio now and stole my brushes. On a Tuesday in September, Tommy's Tuesday, the real one, Dante came to find me in the studio. He had paint on his shirt. He had been holding a canvas for me 20 minutes earlier and the paint had not been dry. He had not changed the shirt. I had decided I liked him in a stained shirt. I had not told him. "Aurora, Dante." He sat on the stool beside my easel. He did not turn the silver pen between his fingers. I had it in my pocket. I always had it in my pocket now, the metal warm against my hip. He had nothing to do with his hands. It made him look younger. "I want to ask you something." "Ask." "Not yet." He took a breath. "I had a speech," he said. "I wrote it." I made Tommy listen to it twice. Tommy said the second half was better than the first half, which was Tommy's way of saying the first half was unusable. Then I threw the whole thing away because it was not true. "What's true? You said you would rather die than be my wife." "I remember. I would like to know if that is still your position," I said. "The brush down." I looked at him. I did not look away. I took the silver pen out of my pocket. I uncapped it. I picked up a clean sheet of watercolor paper from the stack. I wrote one word on it in my best handwriting, the way my mother had taught me to sign things when I was 8. Yes, I held it up. He read it. He did not move for a moment. Then he leaned forward and he put his forehead against mine. The third time now that he had done that, and I had begun to count, and he breathed. Aurora, yes, say it the other way. What other way? The way you said the first thing you ever said to me with my name in your mouth. I almost laughed. Mr. Marchetti, my voice did not shake. I was not proud of it this time. There was no need to be proud. I would rather live than not be your wife. He kissed me. He kissed me for a long time. The kind of kiss that does not lead anywhere, because it does not need to lead anywhere. The kind that is its own ending. When he pulled back, his hand was on my face, and my hand was on his, and General had walked across my pallet and was now walking across the floor, leaving small green footprints. Tommy is going to cry, Dante said. Tommy is going to scream. Lucia is going to feed him until he stops. Enzo is going to read the newspaper. Enzo is going to read the newspaper. We sat there for a while. I leaned against him. He did not say you're mine. He had not said it once in all of this. He had said it in the cellar almost when he had said down that had been a you're mine. That had been the only one. It had been enough. It would always be enough. Aurora, yes, tomorrow you're going to want to call your father. I know, he is going to cry. I know, he is going to ask me a great many questions. I know, I will answer them. No, the light in the studio changed. The afternoon was going. Lucia would be calling us soon for dinner. Tommy would be hovering outside the door in a way that suggested he had heard something he was not supposed to have heard. Enzo would be on the porch with the paper and the wine. Dante stood. He held out his hand. I took it. We walked out of the studio. In my pocket, the silver pen was warm. In the kitchen, the house was waiting. It was an ordinary evening. It was the most extraordinary thing I had ever known. A year is a long time and no time at all. We were married in the spring, in a small ceremony in the garden, at the bench where I had once let my hand move toward his, and where his had not moved away. Tommy cried so loudly that Lucia had to put her hand over his mouth. He married her 4 months later in the same spot. Enzo read a passage in Italian I did not understand, and which I have never asked him to translate, because some things are his. My father walked me down a path of stones the gardener had laid that morning, and at the end of it he put my hand in Dante's hand, and he said, Cara, I am sorry. I am so sorry. And I said, Papa. It is over. It is over. I say that line to myself sometimes, in the kitchen, in the garden, in the studio, when the light is doing the thing the light does. Tonight we went back. Back to my father's house. He had asked us for dinner. He had been asking gently for months. We had said yes finally because Dante had said it was time, and because I had decided it was time too. The library was the same. The desk was the same. The window where I had been painting the pair was the same. My father's hands were a little thinner. My Uncle Sal's chair had been removed, and the gap where it had been was the loudest piece of furniture in the room. My father served wine. We drank it. He asked Dante about the family. Dante answered like a man speaking to a man, which my father had not been spoken to as in a long time, and I watched my father straighten in his chair in a way that made my eyes burn. After dinner, my father pulled out a folder. Aurora, he said, I have something for you. I should have given it to you before. It was the original marriage agreement, the one I had not signed. The one Dante had taken the pen back on. I want you to do with it whatever you want to do, my father said. Burn it, sign it, frame it. It is yours. I took the folder. I looked at Dante. Dante was watching me. He had not said a word since my father had pulled the folder out. He was holding his glass of wine, and his face was very still, and his eyes were on me the way they had been the first day in this room. I took the silver pen out of my pocket. I uncapped it. I looked at him. I held his eyes. I did not look away. I had not looked away in a year. He saw me see him. Something in his face, a single muscle along his jaw, moved. Mia Tigre, he said very softly, across a room again, to me, only to me. The same 2 words, a different language now than the one they had been spoken in the first time. I signed the paper. Not the line for bride. That line did not matter anymore. I signed across the top, in the white space in my best handwriting, the way my mother had taught me to sign things when I was 8, 1 sentence. I would rather live than not be his wife. I capped the pen. I put it back in my pocket. I slid the folder across the desk to my father. My father read it. My father, who had not cried in front of me since my mother died, cried. Dante stood up. He came around the desk. He put his hand on my father's shoulder. He did not say anything. He did not have to. My father put his hand on Dante's hand, and the two of them stood there, and I sat in the chair where I had once painted a pair and refused a marriage. And I watched the two men who had between them sold, and saved my life make their peace in a language that did not need words. We drove home. Lucia had left the porch light on. Tommy was on the front steps with General on his lap. The cat had gotten old and dignified and demanding. Enzo was in the kitchen with the newspaper. The lemons were on the counter. The silver pen was warm in my pocket. In the car, Dante took my hand. Aurora, yes, say it again. Which part? The first part. I would rather. He brought my hand up. He kissed the back of it. He did not speak. He did not need to. I watched him in the dark of the car, the way I had watched him the first day in my father's library, when every other person in the room had looked down. I watched him, and I did not look away, and I felt the weight of the year in my pocket and the weight of his hand in mine, and I thought, this is what I almost did not have. This is what I almost died not knowing. This is the life I built out of 7 words I did not mean and one I did. The car turned through the gate. The drive curved through the trees old enough to remember the men who had built the family. The house came into view, lit, waiting. Dante turned to me. Home, Mia to Gray. Home. I held his hand all the way to the door.